All right, and I think we are recording. So, hi everybody. My name is Crazy Comics, and I will be playing through Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. This will be New Game Plus, any percent, normal mode, 30 FPS, all the little tags that you put in front of it. Yeah, this will be actually a submission video for GDQ, so for anybody on the GDQ staff watching this, hi, it's wonderful to meet you. I've been a fan for a long time, and this is really my first foray into actual speedrunning. I've done a bunch of randomizers in the past, and I'll actually be submitting a Archipelago randomizer with a few friends of mine here, but yeah, this is what I've been working on, and yeah, like I said, it's my first foray into speedrunning, and I think it's a very good game to start speedrunning for really anybody. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Actually, hold on. Let me make it so that you can actually see my splits and that my beautiful mug is not in the way of those splits. There we go. Okay. All right. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So you may notice there's a bit of a desync when it comes to me hitting the splits and what's going on the screen. That's because my PS4, when it uploads to my OBS, there's a little bit of a delay, about a 2-second-ish delay. So just making sure that that's upfront and apparent and everything like that. So the first part of this game, not too difficult. It's really just a tutorial in how to get through the game. And so we're just going to battle a few soldiers here, and then we're going to be fighting a boss here coming up. It's going to be a really tough fight, and so yeah, we're coming up on our first split here. Yeah, so the reason I say that this is a good beginner speed run is because a lot of this is just a bunch of cutscene skipping, getting used to where all the cutscene skips are in the game, and just familiarizing yourself with how the game works in the series of events within the game. So like I said, this is the first game I've ever speed run. And really what drew me to it was it played a lot like Kingdom Hearts. And I'm a huge, huge Kingdom Hearts fan. So, dang it, that's not what I wanted to choose. Really haven't tried explaining and playing the game at the exact same time. I will have commentators for the run itself, so I won't have to be talking the entire time that I'm running this game. But yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, so why do I run New Game Plus? So the cool thing about New Game Plus is it starts you out with all of your equipment from the end of your first playthrough. So if you're like me, you're a completionist, right? And so you go through and you do everything in the game. I've already platinumed this game. I've done all of the missions and everything like that. So I am already at max build, max stats for strength and what have you. And so yeah, you're pretty much just going in with this tank of a man we call Zach, and you're just going to be going through and just mowing through all of the enemies that come through this game. So yeah, like this upcoming fight right here, where it's supposed to teach you about doing something. I know the second one teaches you about fleeing fights, but honestly, I think that one's teaching you about like how to use materia and everything like that, how to use your shortcuts.
Activating combat mode.
Yeah, so some of these fights are unskippable, but as you can see, we are killing all of these guys in one blow. Now, are we going to skip the third fight? Heck yeah, we are. Okay, so you can get a third optional fight right there in that little area, And there are certain areas in this game where you see them and you're like, oh, that's an arena. Like, that's where I'm going to fight something, right? And so there's a strat that carried over from the original game where you just stick to the sides and sometimes the fights won't spawn. So really, that's why I have the time limit set for this game at 1:30. Mainly because of two reasons. One, if the incentive gets met for hard mode, some of the fights at the end of the game are a little tricky. But I also am accounting for, are we going to get into certain fights? Now, you may notice that for some of these group spawns, I'm not... hold on. Yeah, so for some of those group spawns, I was actually just slashing with my sword and everything like that. During this next portion, there's not really going to be a save spot, and I don't want to use any ethers in these upcoming fights. So I'm just going to be managing my MP usage and my AP usage, so I can sort of get into that a little bit. So this game has 3 bars at the bottom that you can see through the timer at the bottom whenever a fight is activated. So you see HP, which is kind of self-explanatory, it's your health points. You've got MP, which is your magic points, and then you've got AP, which is your action points. So throughout this game, you have materia, and so your materia can do a bunch of different things. You can have some combat materia that will allow you to shoot fireballs. Like I used Fire-Aga there at one point in order to pretty much take out a guy in one blow. But you also have action points, which I'll show off here a little bit later when we fight Ifrit. But they're of a different class, so they use different points. So throughout this game, in order to deal with the crowd control, I'll be using a mixture of Quake, which is ground-based magic point used materia, and Darkness, which is a pretty much widespread. You can fight from you can fight airborne enemies, enemies on the ground, everything like that. It'll hit everything in your area, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I've also got a version of Fire-Aga called Death Fire-Aga, and it's really just for that first fight. There are a few cases where I'll use it if an enemy is really weak to fire, or if I'm afraid that Quake or Darkness isn't going to hit them, or if I just need something quicker to take down different enemies. So this is another place where there's a lot of spawns that can happen in these little corridors and stuff like that. And so we try not to hit those or anything like that. But here we come into contact with Yuffie and everything like that. I got a little cutscene before this. So right now, we're going into our first boss fight.
Activating combat mode.
And they're done. So, yeah, like I said, New Game Plus, you are overpowered as all get out. You are going to kill most things in the first few chapters in 1 or 2 hits. It's only when you get to the final bosses of Genesis and everything like that that things really scale up. And you're not going to beat them in 1 hit. And I'll get to that at some point. I'll get to that at some point, like the end of the game. But yeah, so not quite done with this chapter yet. We still got a few more fights left. So yeah, now we've got a fight against Ifrit. And so we just use an attack there called Costly Punch. Basically, it takes away some of your HP in order to deal a good hefty amount of damage to whatever you're attacking. Alright. Okay, so we saved our time from the beginning. Excellent. So yeah, so I guess I could talk a little bit about the story of this game a little bit while we're waiting here. So you play as Zach, Soldier Second Class. And he is just a good boy. We love Zach. Everybody that I've ever talked to thinks that Zach is probably the best character in FF7. And so you're going through the time before the events of Final Fantasy VII. I think this takes place 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, before Final Fantasy VII.
I see.
Yeah. So we're going through his beginning missions. The prologue was just like a training module, like just making sure he's good with using materia and attacking, everything like that. Then the second one was a trip to Wutai, which the people of Midgar were at war with.
Activating combat mode.
And so went through,
Conflict
destroyed one of their home bases and stuff like that. Not that, I don't know. What am I trying to say here? Horrors of war and all that. But
Activating combat mode.
Zach's mentor in this game is a guy named Angeal, and he wields the Buster Sword. You might have seen it in one of the cutscenes. So, wait a minute, that's Cloud's weapon, right? Well, no, it previously belonged to Angeal, and right now we're going to his hometown and the hometown of another soldier first class named Genesis. Genesis has gone rogue, is creating clones of himself, and is finding out information that Shinra really didn't want to have found out. Shinra is an electric power company that also deals in warmongering, deals in violent tactics, and everything like that. It's real sketchy, which makes sense for what the company is in Final Fantasy VII and everything like that. So, yeah, so we're going to the hometown of Angeal and Genesis, and we're about to find out that Angeal's Buster Sword was made by his father, who had it commissioned and everything like that, but could never pay it off, so he pretty much worked himself to death trying to pay off this sword. And so it holds a lot of emotional value to Angeal, and so he never uses it. He says that use brings about wear, tear, and rust. And so he is really against using it and everything like that. So he uses the little sword that Zack has now, which shows how much he trusts Zack and really cares for Zack. And something that Angeal instilled in Zack was this idea of honor and dreams. So Zack has his honor as a soldier. He, to quote from Bad Batch, good soldiers follow orders. But he also has this dream of becoming a hero. And so throughout this game, we are going to see that transpire, him becoming a hero. I guess another incentive I can put on, because I kind of filled out the form for submission before recording this, and then I'll put on the link and everything like that. But I guess another incentive I can put is playing the last part of the game, just because that is a very emotional part of this game and of the Final Fantasy VII series. So whether or not people want to see it, or a GDQ wants people to see it, I might tack on a few more minutes to my to the length of time.
Activating combat mode.
So I'm going to use darkness here, because that's going to take out this airborne enemy.
Conflict resolved.
Give him a second to spawn in, and then we can attack them. But yeah, so that was Darkness. Darkness attacks pretty much everything in a certain area, whether they're flying, on the ground, everything like that. So those are our 4 materia that we are going to be using throughout this game. Costly Punch, Hellfire Aga, Quake, and Darkness. So yeah. We skipped the cutscene of my favorite character in this game. I love Genesis. Like, I think he's great because he is just obsessed with this play called Loveless, which nobody really knows what it's about, but it has enough allegories to this game where it's just like, yeah, the play was basically written just to give Genesis some word fodder to throw at us throughout the entire game. But yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of loading screens in this game for the PS4, and that's just kind of my way of... I don't have the best newest consoles. I don't have a PS5. I don't have an Xbox Series X. And my PC is 7 years old, so it doesn't run anything well anymore. So this is kind of my submission in saying, you don't need to have the best scaled PC. You don't need to have the newest console in order to speedrun. I'm speedrunning this game at 30 FPS, and the last time I checked, which was today, there are only 3 people, including myself, to run the 30 FPS category for this game. So, yeah, it's just a matter of, hey, work with what you got, do your best, and you'll do great. So yeah, the reason I missed that last shell there, this was a mini game where you've pretty much got to hit the shells as it comes into the circle and destroy them and stuff like that. You get all 10, you get an achievement and everything like that. But in this, we skip it because there's an extra little bit of dialogue that's unskippable from Sung if we get all 10. So we skip that last one and let it hit us just so that way we can skip that cutscene. But yeah, so we're going to come up to another boss fight here. Bahamut. So, focus for this. Bahamut flies off if you don't hit him quick enough. So, yeah. So I think the load times got me on that one. There's our pretty boy Genesis. Yeah, so what we came back to was Angeal's mother was killed or extremely hurt. And so we had... so we confronted Angel and Genesis, who both see themselves as monsters. They both have 1 wings, like another guy from the Final Fantasy VII universe, which we will see here in just a second. Yeah, there's our favorite silver-haired boy, Sephiroth. So, yeah, I will explain their backstories later on. But yeah, so Genesis and Angel escape. So yeah, so now we're able to equip 6 materia and do materia fusion, which that's kind of the name of the game here. We don't really deal with leveling up or anything like that. We mostly focus on materia fusion in this game. And the big reason for that is there's a thing in the top left corner, which I'm kind of covering with my face cam. I'm sorry about that. But it's called the DMW. I have a friend who calls it the DMV, which I find that kind of funny. But essentially, it's a slot machine which rolls every time you start a battle and continually rolls within the battle.
Activating combat mode.
Essentially what it does is it it allows you to do super attacks based on people that you've met.
Activating combat mode.
And yeah, this is kind of a raid battle. People keep coming in. You gotta keep fending them off. And one more. Yeah, so yeah, it rolls with people's faces and gives you special attacks based on whoever is rolled. Like there we rolled Sung, and so he was on the bottom right-hand corner. So we could use his special attack whenever we wanted to, but that takes a little bit, so we try not to use it. There's a item called the Cursed Ring, which you can use to mitigate that, which I know the any percent uses for a little bit and then takes it off, and then the level 6% uses it the entire time. So essentially you are stuck at level 6 the entire time you are playing the game. Which is not a bad thing, because Materia Fusion allows for you to increase your stats, create more powerful materia, and use more powerful attacks throughout the game without you needing to level up at all. So yeah. But we're going to have a quick fight against Genesis here, or at least a copy of Genesis. So what happened was Genesis decided to attack Shinra HQ, and we also met Best Girl Cisne. She works for the Turks, which is kind of like where Soldier is Shinra's private army. The Turks are pretty much the cleaners of Shinra. Actually, there's a lot of jokes in the series where the Turks really don't know what they are, and they make a lot of references like, yeah, we do this, but we also do this, and we do this. Also, that's the most expensive cutscene in the game, because it's a full FMV of Sephiroth fighting against Angeal and Genesis, and it is beautiful. I highly recommend you look it up because it looks amazing. So anyway, what happened was after the raid on Shinra HQ, Zack and Sephiroth are tasked with going to a Mako reactor that has had some disturbances in it. And so coming here, we see that there are Angeal clones now, in addition to Genesis clones. So we're going to find out the truth behind Genesis and Angeal and why they are the way they are. But yeah, so do things a little out of order here. Usually you're supposed to go and talk with Sephiroth, and then go down, turn the pipe, and then go back and talk to him, and you can actually go in the door. But what we do here is we go down, turn the pipe beforehand, because we figured out you can do that, and then we work our way back up and over to Sephiroth for the first time.
Activating combat mode.
So, it's a little tricky to skip the fights in here because of such narrow pathways. You're pretty much going to get caught no matter what. Yeah, this is the really bad one, because you can run into at most 3 fights walking on these bars. It looks like we're only going to get 2, which is pretty good. So, yeah, happy about that. Yeah, so we talk with Sephiroth, and then we examine a few files here, and I can tell you what these files are talking about. Basically, Genesis and Angeal were created using it's weird. It's always hard talking about Final Fantasy VII lore because a lot of it gets real confusing to explain. But essentially, Genesis and Angeal are modified humans. So in their birth,
Conflict resolved.
they were then implanted with cells from Genova. So that gave them their strength. They both have a wing like Sephiroth, so that's what gave them that. But for some reason, Genesis is degrading. He is falling apart, and he is dying.
Combat mode.
So they're pretty much trying to figure out a way
Resolved.
to save Genesis. And this guy that we're chasing right now is named Hollander, and he's the lead scientist on these projects.
Activating combat
And
mode.
he is right now responsible for trying to save Genesis.
Conflict resolved.
And that's why Angeal is with him, because Angeal wants to help save his friend. We are getting real unfortunate spawns during this portion. There are 2 fights in here that we can't skip. So I'm just going to keep running through here.
Activating combat mode.
But
Conflict
yeah.
resolved.
I'm gonna take a breath here for a second, because I've been talking quite a bit about this game. So yeah, so we got a fight coming up here.
Hollander!
Against 3 machines.
Activating combat mode.
There we go.
Conflict resolved.
Then we got a few cutscenes, and we're gonna have a good time on this. I don't know why. That's a very good time for that. Holy crap. Why was my time so good on that? Either way, yeah. One of the benefits of these load times gives you time to take a drink. I'm also drinking some green tea. Just in case you were wondering. But what happens is Angeal shows up and takes us out, and we fall through the Maka reactor into a church filled with flowers. And we're met by a lovely flower girl named Aerith. And this chapter is just so much cuteness between Zack being an extremely flirtatious boy and Aerith just not really taking any of his crap and just kind of being so innocent and everything like that. And it's a lovely relationship. But yeah, we're going to do a few quests here. There's not too much fighting in this chapter until the very end. There's only really this fight and then another fight coming up, because we're going to go into the market here and we are going to have our wallet be stolen by a little punk in town. And so we've got to spend time figuring out where he's at. We got to talk to the locals. Some of them are trying to keep us from getting to him. And then when we finally do get it back, he's like, yeah, my wallet was eaten by some monsters, so we gotta go kill the monsters. And then yeah, we have a fun time with Aerith, and then we gotta go back to work. So till then, yeah, I guess I could talk about some people that I would want to do commentary on this. So Desa is a very good runner of this game. He's been trying to figure out strats for this game, loadouts and everything like that. Right now he's working on level 6% and figuring out how that'll all work, which that'll be cool. I've been using his stuff to learn the any percent for this game, which has a lot more to do with figuring out boss patterns and stuff like that, because you're not going to be overpowered at any point in the game. You're really just going to have to pay attention to everything that you've got. But yeah, so I want him on commentary. I got a friend of mine named Palpu Komi. They are a lovely streamer who loves this game. Komi absolutely loves this game, and so love to have their input on it and everything like that. I think that's the only two that I would want on commentary for this game. But yeah. So yeah, plenty of time for donations in this game. The weird thing about that text box is it really doesn't matter which choice you make in the text box. I just always go for the bottom one for some reason. But yeah. So this level isn't too much special. Yeah, Dasa could also talk to you about like the intricacies of this game, because I am not a tech savvy person. I also don't know a ton about too many games from like a below the surface type level. I'm just a guy who stumbled onto this game through my friend Komi's stream and fell in love with it and was like, I'm going to speedrun this game. And like I said at the top of the video, this is my first time speedrunning. I've never done it before this, and it's been a lovely time trying to figure this all out and learn cutscene skipping and stuff like that. I know my controller isn't thanking me too much for it because the start button's starting to stick. But yeah, also this cutscene is super cute and we don't get to see it. We buy Aerith's pink bow that's in the back of her hair at that shop, and it's so cute. It's so adorable. I guess one other thing I could talk about with this game is, yeah, so Reunion, Crisis Core Reunion, is a remake of the PSP original, and it keeps a lot of the things intact from the original game. It does make a few odd changes, though, like for Sung's special move, where he calls in an airstrike. Zack has a different voice line there than what he had in the original, which is kind of weird. So, don't know what that's about. And then, yeah, one other big thing about this game is it updates the game with new voice actors from the remake. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, like the Aerith's voice actress is the same actress from Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so is Zack. Zack's voice actor is in Remake as well, in the scenes that flashback to Zack. And it's a little jarring because I saw Komi play through the original of this game before buying Reunion, and I love Zack's voice in the original game. And this guy's growing on me. The more and more that I speedrun this game, the more and more his voice is growing on me. I know there's a lot of people who not a huge fan of his voice. Also, I always make that mistake. I end up using Quake for those guys when they're levitating off the ground, so can't really do anything against them. So that kind of sucks. And you also notice that we can't just kill things in one hit anymore. So things are starting to get a little bit tougher. And something else you're noticing is that it's like at the finish, it has those percentages down below the screen. And what that does is it returns to us however much HP, MP, AP we use to kill things. So if we kill something using MP, it'll give us back a greater percentage of MP. If we kill things with AP, it's going to give us back a larger amount of AP, so on and so forth. if we kill things flawlessly, don't get hit and everything like that, it always gives us 20% back each, plus whatever the finisher is for the kill. I think it's 5% more per finish with magic, AP, what have you. So yeah, here we are with everybody's favorite creepy scientist, Hojo. Still being creepy.
You seem... Of course.
Yeah, hit that cutscene too early. So yeah, that's one of the big things that this game does for you is if you played through the original game, a lot of what this game calls from you is to remember to learn the cutscene steps. And so that's what I've been getting better with. Also, white screen. Lovely. And yeah, that's the end of that chapter. So I know why the splits are so weird. It's because I do this game on hard mode and normal mode for New Game Plus. So I think these are the hard mode times. So that's why it looks so weird. But anyway. So yeah, the ending there was that Shinra was getting raided by... did I go to the wrong place? Yeah. Shinra was getting raided by Genesis clones and Angeal clones. Reason being, we captured Hollander. Well, we didn't capture Hollander. Sephiroth captured Hollander after we fell through the reactor. And they came back and got him. They got Hollander. So yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, some time has passed since then. And right now we're going back to see Aerith in the Sector 8 slums. So just a bunch of running throughout this point, throughout this part of the game. Yeah, I'm having a good time with this game. It's a very fun game to play through, and I know this isn't too interesting of a speed run, but I'm submitting it because I thought since it was a very good and very welcoming speed run for me, like being a first-time runner, like I felt like I should share this with GDQ and be like, hey, anybody wants to get into speedrunning, speedrun this. This is easy. Like, this is easy to learn, and it teaches you about, especially if you want to do like JRPG runs, if you want to do Kingdom Hearts runs, if you want to do Final Fantasy VII Remake runs, if you want to do FF15, like bigger games like this, you can use this as a template for how to start and get into it. And everything like that. Like I said, I'm still trying to work my way into the any percent stuff. I'm trying to learn boss patterns and stuff like that. But yeah, I figured I'd show this off to anybody who feels like they're having trouble getting into speed running or don't know where to start when it comes to speed running.
Activating combat mode.
There's a lot of times where I can go through this section and not get any encounters, but unfortunately got an encounter there. But next part of the game, so we get word of Genesis's location in Modeoheim, and so Sung picks us up and we go there with 2 Shinra soldiers, and one Shinra soldier is keeping up with us way better than Sung and the other Shinra soldier. And we get one of the best memes from this game, where Zack asks the guy where he's from, and he says Nibelheim. I've heard that before if you've played Final Fantasy VII. And he asks, where are you from? And he says, me Gungaga. My favorite meme in this game. The actor doesn't quite sell it as well as the original voice actor, but still a great line. And so, yeah, the soldier reveals himself to be Cloud. And so this is where Cloud comes into the story. And so we're on this journey with Cloud to go and capture Genesis. Now, this is a stealth section that I'm going to really need to focus for, because sometimes this doesn't work out. Cool. All right. Everything worked out. Because sometimes he can see you when you're coming over to the box, and sometimes he doesn't. So that's another bit of RNG for this game. So a lot of this game just comes down to RNG. Whether or not you do things well or not. Like, you can do the fight super well and everything like that, but if you get too many spawns, knocks out your best time.
Activating combat mode.
Anyway, we got to fight against the actual Genesis.
Conflict resolved.
And at this point, Genesis falls off the edge, and he is presumed dead. So, there you go. We killed Genesis, guys. He's definitely dead. Definitely dead. Definitely. But anyway, so we come back looking for Cloud and Sung, and they're gone. And so we figure out that they're over here because this place wasn't unlocked before.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, oh, I guess they're over here. And so go into Medeoheim, go into this bathhouse here, and I forget if he knows at this point or if he doesn't, but they pretty much tracked Angeal and Hollander to this bathhouse. So that's why they're here. And Zach, wanting to see Angeal again, is obviously going to run headfirst into this bathhouse.
Activating combat mode.
Because that's an Angeal
Conflict
Griffin.
resolved.
So, yeah, there's Angeal clones here. So, yeah, we come up here, find that Cloud's been knocked out. Cloud's kind of a wimp in this game, and Sung's been kind of knocked to the ground. So only we can go forward and stop him. Yeah, so we got a little bit of movement in here, but yeah, I guess I can also talk more about the DMW because I kind of left that ambiguous. I told you one part of the DMW is it allows you to do special attacks, but the other part is there's numbers at the bottom of it, and so if the numbers line up to 777, you get all sevens, you level up, which gives you a slight stat boost, if anything, but not enough to make a huge difference. And there's also certain numbers that if the DMW rolls it, you will level up your materia, which pretty much all of the materia that I have now are fully upgraded.
Activating combat mode.
So yeah.
Conflict
But
resolved.
we catch up to Angeal, and he's sacrificing himself. He's fed up with everything, and so he allows us to kill him, and he gives us the Buster Sword. And so that's how Zach comes to be in charge of the Buster Sword. Zach is also first class by this point. He became first class after Angeal and Genesis left because they're like, we need more first class soldiers. But after this, all the threats have been neutralized. We captured Hollander again. So they're like, Zach, take a vacation. And so he takes a vacation, but oh no, we've got we've got some Genesis clones, even though Genesis is dead. Also, I don't know what's going on here. Just for some reason having a rough time with these guys.
Conflict resolved.
I don't know why. but yeah, so we go to Costa del Sol and everything like that, but yeah, these Genesis clones pop up even though Genesis is supposed to be dead. So Sung comes in and is like, "Hey, we need to go." But now we get to fight with the Buster Sword, and just like in FF7 Remake, you can change your stance with the Buster Sword. It allows you to do greater attacks. It allows you to deal more damage with the sword. But yeah, so you'll see that battle stance being used later on in the game, just to help not die from certain attacks. Yeah, I lost track of how many guys there were here. But anyway, so yeah, so that's what we're doing here. We're coming here because a bunch of Genesis clones are attacking because Hollander's here. So they're coming to get Hollander again.
Activating combat mode. Conflict
So
resolved.
got some actual Genesis clones here, so now we're pretty certain that Genesis is not dead. But yeah, we're going to stick to the sides, try to avoid as many optional battles as possible. We will have to fight these Genesis clones and everything like that. Like, that is forced. But there are some optional fights in some of these hallways that can be mitigated just by sticking to the side.
Conflict resolved.
But, yeah. I think I've talked about most of the talking points I wanted to do.
Activating combat mode.
Wasn't sure if Quake would hit them. I wasn't sure if that was out of their range or not, but here we are. But yeah, so I guess I could talk a little bit about materia fusion. There are guides online for how to make different items and stuff like that through materia fusion.
Conflict resolved.
And what you can do is you can apply items to materia fusion that will allow you to put greater like stat buffs and stuff like that, so it can increase your vitality, it can increase your luck, it can increase your health, your magic, your action points, everything like that. So I have mine pretty much maxed out on, I want to say, strength and vitality are maxed out. Also, this is a mini game where you can stop those robots from destroying the door. But the thing is, and thank God I watched Dessa's video for this, but it's easier to just avoid it all entirely. Just wait by the button to open the door to the next area and not even fight them. It's quicker. So yeah, this is my break in the speed run. I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit. And if I were at GDQ, this is where I'd be taking my selfies and everything like that. Just be having a grand old time. Yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should talk about. In New Game Plus, we don't do any missions since we're pretty much done with every mission by this point, and we already have all the items, we already have all the super good accessories and stuff like that, so there's really no need to do that. I could also talk about the differences between 60 FPS and PC, which are the other two big
Hollander.
which are the other two big categories for this. So 60 FPS is your modern day consoles. That's your PS5, your Xbox Series X's. You take your final time and you put it into race time. For PC, we have a load splitter in the timer. So when you're running,
Combat mode.
you run the game with an actual clock, but whenever it comes to loading in this game, it'll stop the timer, stop a second timer, and it'll record your load list time. So you'll see that those times are way quicker than what I'm submitting here, mostly because they're submitting their load list time instead of their RTA. There we go. Excellent. Yeah, so that's chapter 6. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is odd. Yeah, I'll say odd. Odd's a good word. So this entire chapter has one goal: build Aerith a flower cart. That is the entire chapter. And so, essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for parts for a flower cart. And then we are going to come back, build the flower cart. They're going to put us back at Shinra HQ. And then be like, hey, you're going on this super important mission. Why don't you go say bye to Aerith? So we got to run all the way back to Aerith. And then we're done. So, yeah, Chapter 7's a weird one.
Conflict resolved.
But at this point in the story, I'm trying to think what's happening at this point. Yeah, Genesis has Hollander, and we're basically waiting on the word from Shinra to go after them or figure out where they're at. But yeah, there's not really much to say at this point. It's been a good run. It's definitely not my best. I've had a few flubs with hitting the start menu where I think there's a cutscene, but there's not. There is a fun little thing here when you come to get some lumber to build the flower cart. This guy that has the lumber here is like, hey, I'm building a bar in Sector 7, and I don't have any names for it. And so, do you have an idea for a name? And we give him the name of Seventh Heaven. So, Tifa's bar in FF7. Kinda named after Zack. Well, not named after Zack, but Zack gave the idea for the name. So yeah. So that's fun. Yeah, I guess I could talk about myself a little bit. Because I'm not relatively well known in really any community. So yeah, I'm Crazy Comics. I mostly do randomizers. I do Kingdom Hearts 2 randomizers, kind of my primary. Also do a little bit of Link to the Past randomizers, not in any race settings, but just, I don't know, find it fun to do something with that every once in a while. Test my skills, test my knowledge of the game, stuff like that. I also do Time Spinner randomizer, which is what I'm going to submit in the Archipelago submission. But anyway, yeah, so that's who I am. I'd say I'm okay at most randomizers. I've placed in a few Kingdom Hearts 2 tournaments. I'm also commentator for a lot of those tournaments. But I just like to have a good time playing games. Never thought I would be a speedrunner, mainly because I don't know. I find it mundane to do the same thing over and over and over again. Just in life in general, like I'd hate to have a job where I do the same thing over and over again every single day of my life. But for some reason in speedrunning, and especially in this game with testing out any percent, it's fun to learn more about the game. I kind of learned that when playing Sekiro, is just, hey, I'm learning more and more about this game. I'm learning how these enemies work. I'm learning how to use my arsenal to the best of my ability. Stuff like that. And that's what I've learned to love about gaming just in general here recently. And so, yeah, I'm like, hey, I'll do this as a good beginner to speedrunning. Just testing my ability to skip cutscenes, testing how to do loadouts and everything like that.
Welcome up.
Also, we can't skip this cutscene until Aerith frowns. So, that's something I've learned. We got another loading screen. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I like to consider myself a fun guy, a cool guy. I like to crack jokes. If you put me in a group setting, I am going to crack so many jokes. I'm just going to make the mood a little bit brighter, so while I'm not doing too many jokes during this, except telling Kunsel that I love him, because Kunsel's the best, bro. Like, he is... So I'll explain Kunsel. He is just a fun guy. He gives you all of your missions to do. He is always checking up on you. Like, if you read the emails, he is always just like, dude, what's up with this? Like, what are you doing over here, man? And just Kunsel being like, oh my god, you're friends with Sephiroth? Oh my god. Bro, I want to be friends with Sephiroth. Like that type of thing. Like, he is your wingman in everything. And just a fun character to be around, be with in this game. But yeah, so they tell us we're about to go on a very important mission to Nibelheim. For anybody who knows Final Fantasy VII, you know what's coming at this point. So, yeah, we're going to go with Sephiroth to Nibelheim. Cloud's also going to come with us, but he really doesn't want anybody to know that he's coming back to Nibelheim. For some reason. I don't know. Maybe they'll explore that in the sequel to this game. But, so right now we're going to say our goodbyes to Aerith until we return. And it becomes that Star Wars meme of Padme and Anakin looking at each other. You are going to return, right? It's just a good time. Yeah. What else? Anything else I can talk about? There's probably a billion other things I could talk about. So there is some equipment in this game. I mentioned the curse ring earlier, which pretty much just turns off the DMW. So that way you don't... That way it keeps you from losing time. I don't have it on, mainly because I don't want to take the time in my run to put on the curse ring. And so... Yeah, so I gotta deal with some DMW shenanigans, but the good thing is I don't think I'm in combat long enough to actually like have the DMW affect me. But yeah. So Under Hour chapter 7 is always good. Where I'd like to get with the speed run, I'd like to get my time down to like 120, which would be good for this game, but it really just depends on the load times. Like, that's really the only thing hampering me at this point. Which, I'm running this game on the physical release, on a PS4, so pretty much everything is against me in terms of actually making that happen. Really, the only way that could happen is if I got no extra encounters than what I'm supposed to get in this game, plus the cloud, I saw a cloud on the screen. It was like, and the cloud. If the loading screens were very kind to me. But yeah, so we're in Nibelheim. Sephiroth tells us before this, hey, I'm probably going to leave Shinra because there's a lot of shady stuff going on here. So, can't blame him. Especially knowing what's going on with Angeal and Genesis and everything like that. Also, hardest part of the game right here. Here in a hot second. Yeah. Just getting up those stairs, they put you in the weirdest spot. They put you right at the corner. So if you hit the stairs from the side, you're just going to stop. If you run, you're going to blow past the stairs and not be able to go up it. So you got to come out and around the stairs, which doing that fast, doing it consistent, very difficult. I see a lot of people, especially in like the best times of this game, struggle to do that part. So here we are. But anyway, so Sephiroth is starting to learn more about himself, about his past, where he came from, everything like that. Meanwhile, we got a young girl leading us around town, helping us get to the reactor we're supposed to be looking at, and her name is Tifa. But, yeah, so we go up here, and Cloud gets hurt, trying to protect us from the enemies out here. And, yeah, so we gotta escort him back to town and everything like that.
Activating combat mode.
We're getting a few more combat encounters than what I would like. Nothing too difficult. Also, that was a very bad spawn point for Tifa and Cloud. Because they'll follow you, and then whenever the battle is done, they'll spawn like right where you're at. So, yeah, they kind of blocked me from hitting the side there that I really wanted to hit. Yeah, once again, just sticking to the sides, everything like that. But if you play Final Fantasy VII, you know what's happening. Sephiroth's going a little off the handle. He's like, hey, my mom's name was Genova, but there's an alien here named Genova, so what's going on with that? So, yeah, I'll explain. So Sephiroth, before he was born, was implanted with Genova cells. And so he is the most stable and complete version of the research that they were doing, that Shinra was doing. So, he finds out that Genova is his mom, and his mom is an alien. And so he goes and starts researching this and stuff like that, and he kind of gets a god complex.
Aerith?
He's like, yeah, Genova was meant to cleanse this world, so I'm gonna cleanse it too. Yeah, buddy, could you not do that? Maybe? So, yeah. That's kind of how this is all gonna go. But yeah, so something interesting about this game, you won't see me skipping any of these transitions into other rooms and stuff like that. Mainly because most of them aren't skippable. There's only a handful that are, and I still haven't practiced this game enough to truly remember where those are, so I just kind of leave myself to not mess with it. So yeah. Anyway, so Sephiroth closes himself down here to read up on his backstory and everything like that, and yeah, honestly, quarantining yourself by yourself, not a great idea there, Sephiroth. So, and on the 7th day, see, the weird thing is, on the 7th day, God rested, is what the Bible says. But in this game, on the 7th day, Sephiroth burns an entire town to the ground. Also, cool shot of Sephiroth there. And yeah, so we're gonna go try and confront Sephiroth.
Activating combat mode.
Game's interesting. It decides, you know what? We're just gonna put you right on mountain, going to the Maka reactor. I guess I should talk about the reason why we're actually here in Maka. So monsters have been pouring out of this reactor, and so they're like, "Yo, why is there so many monsters?" And so they send Sephiroth and Zack to figure that out.
Activating combat mode.
And boy, how did we figure it out?
Conflict resolved.
Anyway, 3 encounters up there. Pretty normal. I've gone encounterless through this area, so I'm hoping that I can do that. Heck yeah. Yeah, the last time I ran this, got an encounter in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on, game. So yeah, so Tifa gets hurt in and amongst all of this. And so Zack decides to go deal with Sephiroth, who is like, Mother, we're going to take over the planet. We're going to conquer the planet. And Zack's like, not if I can help it. So here we're going to use the stance to not take any damage from that, and then use a costly punch to just immediately kill Sephiroth. So that's the first phase. Then we got the second phase where we're going to try and hear the Sephiroth chorus, but probably not going to happen.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
There it is. So now it's just a bunch of cutscenes until the end of this chapter. So yeah. We got one more cutscene. Yeah. Yeah, we need to see. No, we got 2 more, because then Cloud needs to slide down the stairs. I think. There we go. Look at that nice picture. Alright, Chapter 9. Chapter 9's got a lot in it. So, so after this encounter with Sephiroth, Cloud and Zack are kind of captured for a little while. And so they're captured, experimented on. Cloud is a little comatose. He's very much out of it. And so Zack is like, hey, I'm going to get you out of here. And so Zack becomes a protector of Cloud, trying to escape Nibelheim. And something that you noticed that I did there, I got something from the scientist that was down there. And what that was it was a closet key. So what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to go try to leave town,
Activating
and
combat mode.
nothing's supposed to
Conflict resolved.
happen.
Oh,
Like, you're
yeah.
supposed to fight some Shinra guys, and then you come back in, and you're like, oh, Cloud, you should probably change your clothes because they smell like Mako. And so when you do that, then you go get the key, unlock the closet, change his costume, and then leave. So by doing that, I have skipped having to go back down, get the key, get the clothes, and everything like that. So once this part is done, Cloud will be just immediately changed into his new clothes, which mimics a Shinra outfit, so a soldier outfit. So makes sense why he's confused for a soldier in the
Activating
newer
combat
game.
mode.
So yeah, so for here, you go ahead and get as close to Cloud as possible. Just do a bunch of quakes or
Oh, yeah,
fires or
resolved.
something like that, and then just immediately turn around and get Cloud. Now there's
Activating
3
combat
parts
mode.
of this, so pretty much just gonna be
Oh
Conflict
yeah.
resolved.
we're pretty much waiting to turn around
Activating
how
combat
this
mode.
is all going. So then this is the weirdest one because we actually have to close the gap and get to Cloud. And this section's just a bunch of quakes.
Oh
Conflict
yeah.
resolved.
Yeah, so I guess I could talk about my loadout versus other people's loadouts. Pretty much you can have whatever loadout you want in this. I would honestly say have something for close-up fights, have something for long range, and then have something for crowd control. And then literally everything else can be whatever you want it to be.
This may.
Yeah, so there we go. We have Cloud changed into his new costume. And so now we can leave without being stopped.
Activating combat mode.
Now, here's the thing. You can have
Resolved.
a bunch of combat encounters trying to get out of town. So I'm going to stick to the side so that way. Yeah, that little space
Okay.
Is
leaving
just-
town. Come on now.
really rough patch. Also, I love that you can't skip the cutscene of him being like, okay, we're leaving now. But then once he goes back, you can skip it. Alright, so this place was giving me trouble a few days ago. But essentially, you're supposed to be shooting at these robots, taking them out and stuff like that. You're supposed to get stuff to upgrade the gun and everything like that, but really we're just going to run past all of it and just have them escape and everything like that. Because it's like, I think the reason we're shooting these is so that it doesn't alert
Activating
Shinra
combat
that
mode.
we've escaped. But yeah, but you can also
Conflict
get
resolved.
combat encounters like that. So, yeah, the other day I had so many
Activating
freaking
combat
encounters
mode.
here. I think I had like 4 or 5 encounters during this
Conflict
run
resolved.
to the end here. And it was just so annoying. Even like at the end, I'm like, oh, thank God we're done. And then like one appears like right at the very end of this long stretch. like right before this blue exclamation point, one shows up. I'm like, holy crap. Like, why, game? Why? But yeah, so 2 combat encounters. Not bad. I think the first time I did it, I only had 1. So, that was pretty good. So yeah, but we're on the run from Shinra because Shinra doesn't want information of this getting out. And so they send the Turks after us, and so Sisane shows up and is like, hey, I'm supposed to bring you in. But she doesn't. She instead gives us information on Genesis, who is still out and about, and Hollander, who is still working for him. And so
Activating combat mode.
Zack wants to head back to Midgar. Wants to head back to Midgar. But he realizes he still has a mission to do. So he goes to Gungaga, which is his hometown. And this is where stuff gets weird. So we come here because we think Genesis and Hollander might be here. I actually forget a lot of the end game of this game for some reason. But yeah, so we come here. Oh, we come here because they're like, we have reported sightings in Gungaga, and so he goes to Gungaga, and he's still taking Cloud with him and everything like that. Still feels he has a mission to do because Sephiroth is killed by Cloud, and Angeal is already dead. So the only one left is Genesis, and he's like, okay, I've got to take out Genesis. And so we go here, and yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Is we're gonna stop Genesis before going back to Midgar and
Activating combat mode.
pretty much leaving
Conflict
the life of
resolved.
a soldier behind, since we were pretty much cast away. Yeah, so we got some Genesis copies. But something else we are about to learn is that the director of Soldier, Lazard, who you saw in a few cutscenes earlier on, not that big of a character despite being the director of Soldier, he went missing around Chapter 4. And so we were like, okay, Lazard left because he's a traitor and he went to go give information to Wutai or something like that. Like, Shinra comes up with some explanation. Turns out Lazard is actually an Angeal clone. So properties of Angeal exist through him being like, hey, go help Zack and go save him
Activating
from
combat mode.
anything.
This'll do.
Conflict
save him.
resolved.
But yeah, so that's interesting. Also, Hollander looked a little weird there. Hollander was implanted with Genesis genes. So he was looking like... So he had the beginnings of a wing. He looked really degraded. But yeah, it's yeah, he looked a little looked pretty rough there. Also, I should have just gone for Battle Stance Costly Punch.
Dumb apples. Oh.
But yeah. Didn't quite work. But yeah, so we have Lazard with us, who is protecting Cloud during all of this. We figure out that Genesis's base is
Looks like
in
can't-
Benora, and so we go to Benora, and yeah. And so Genesis's plan is to use it's pretty similar to, yeah, I don't know. Someone else who knows the story better can talk about this point, because my brain's mush at this point. I've been talking for like solid hour and 20 minutes. So I'm just a little lost at this point, and my brain's turning to mush. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about the story, but basically we just gotta kill Genesis. That's where we're at in the story. So yeah, we're going through here. We're picking up some chests that contain special materia to help unlock the door for our final battle with Genesis. And so, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, we're gonna slot these materia into a pedestal, do one more fight against a regular enemy, and then go fight Genesis, who has 2 phases. And essentially when combat resolved shows up at the end of the second fight against Genesis, that's when the run is over. So yeah, so we're pretty much at the end game now. So yeah, this is this would be where all the thank yous are exchanged and everything like that. As you saw, there's a lot of like dead air points in this game where donations can be read and everything like that. So yeah, I feel like this will be a fine game for GDQ. Like it's fun. I always mess up that menuing.
Activating combat mode.
Shoot fire rockets on there.
Conflict resolved.
And then, yeah.
Genesis.
Time for a showdown. Also, we can't skip this walk into the light. So yeah, so at the beginning here, we're going to use a bunch of our Hellfire Agas on him to try and do some damage before he swings his sword down.
Activating combat mode.
By now, that's enough.
There we go. There's one. Like I said, a lot of this has to do with learning the cutscenes and everything like that.
Activating
How about
combat
this?
mode.
Taking you down a peg. Oh no, you don't. How about this? This'll do. That's enough.
That's it.
Conflict resolved.
Combat resolves. Game's done. So yeah, 122.21. That's pretty good. Let me actually check my hold on a second. I'm gonna just check speedrun.com. Because I think that might be my best time as of now. So yeah, that's my best time in the game as of now. Like I said, if we go up to hard, the numbers that were on the side initially would be closer to the actual time. that I would have in it. Also, if you want, I can show it off, but I can go to the end game and show off what the end of the game looks like, and pretty much go till the end of actual gameplay. I don't know how much of this you would want to play out, but it's essentially Zack gives up his life to protect Cloud.
Activating combat mode.
And so this part is essentially just let his health run out. We're gonna let these missiles hit us. And then it's a bunch of cutscenes with characters who we didn't really get to meet in this game, though.
I'm Cicely. Here's a present.
So,
Sun
your
illusion?
Where's
So,
ready to go?
this is
Understand now why
What's within
Sephiroth
each
the end of the
Yes.
game.
for
So get
real.
away safely. Zach, I gotta go.
And I'm not sure, but there's a there was a thing when this game initially came out that it would black out the screen for the ending cutscenes. So I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but since some time that might be changed.
About where? I'm a country boy too. Pretty like you've been hanging out with so long.
Yeah, so after Genesis is beaten,
Monster's objective.
we take him out of the cavern, stuff like that, to Lazard, who is sitting there dying. Genesis is dying, and there was one other Angeal clone who was protecting Aerith, who came to protect Cloud. And so it shows that pretty much that whole side plot is done. Like, that's not the main plot in, like, any games going forward. But the main reason I'd want to keep this is because it's such an emotional moment, because Zack is a good boy throughout this entire game. He's even called Zack the puppy by Angeal, and so
Activating
just to
combat
see
mode.
him brought to this. And so, like, we're doing that much damage and these guys aren't dying. Like, holy crap. Yeah, we're pretty much waiting on the DMW to hit all Aerith, because that's the last memory he has. Oh, and they don't block the scene anymore. So, that's the end of actual gameplay. So, you don't really play anything else, and you can skip the rest of these scenes. Heck, even here, you can't even move Zack. You can just move the camera, but it doesn't really do anything. But
Hello. Don't worry. That's right. But want to hear? Not scary
Work
at all.
stuff?
Will I see you again?
I'll be here.
But the cool thing about this ending is it allows for us to kind of see some of the cutscenes that we skipped throughout this entire thing. That shows pretty much Zack is dying and his memories are just becoming translucent. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah, that was Crisis Core Reunion. New game plus, 70%, normal mode, 30 FPS. Yeah, it's a good beginner speed run, and I'd really love to show it off because I think that there's a lot of, I don't know, people want to get into speed running. You look at like some of the best players at GDQ and stuff like that, and a little intimidated. It's like, oh my god, I'm never going to be that good. I'm never going to get there or anything like that. But it all begins with a single step, right? Every journey begins with a single step. And for me, this was my single step. And it was so easy because I had already beaten the game and everything like that. So it just became very natural to just keep playing it and use the tech that I was already using in my playthrough, use the items that I already got from my playthrough and stuff like that. Now, new game, or any percent and level 6, that's another beast entirely, which I haven't... I've begun to touch any percent. I haven't touched level 6 yet. So, yeah, this was kind of my introduction to speedrunning, and I just wanted to introduce it to other people and help them to get into speedrunning as well if you're interested in Crisis Core Reunion. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to the GDQ staff for giving me the time to show this off. And yeah, I will catch y'all later. Peace.